Just because the Eagles did not land Jalen Ramsey doesn't mean Howie's plan failed, as new trade revelations surrounding the star cornerback are a lot better than I expected. Plus, while the hype continues to build around Jalyx Hunt and the Birds' newest safety, and Philadelphia's championship rings are coming a little later than we thought, I'm Thomas Mott. This is the Thomas Mott Show. Just when you thought the NFL offseason couldn't get any wilder, one of the top trade targets linked to Philadelphia all offseason long can finally be linked no longer, as Jalen Ramsey is officially a Steeler. Minkah Fitzpatrick is a Dolphin, and the Eagles look all the wiser. And just to be clear, like you, I got tired of the whole Jalen Ramsey Eagle trade rumors all offseason long a while ago. I've talked about it in a while, but I do think Ramsey going to the Pittsburgh Steelers has some major implications for the Philadelphia Eagles. First, just the trade details in case you hadn't seen these. Pittsburgh sent Minkah Fitzpatrick and a 2027 fifth rounder for Jalen Ramsey, tight end Jonnu Smith, and a 2027 seventh rounder. Pretty hefty price for a 30-year-old journeyman corner whose best days are clearly behind him. And while again, I'll stand by my belief that Philadelphia did call the Dolphins at some point this offseason to ask because it was reported a lot of different places. I mean, Howie likely does this with every big-name trade target, but I'm sure he asked. The asking price was clearly way out of what the Eagles' wheelhouse wanted, and Howie avoided for good reason. Not only did Pittsburgh have to give up a star in Minkah Fitzpatrick, they also now paid Jalen Ramsey over $26 million in guaranteed money for just the 2025 season. That would be like the Eagles trading Reed Blankenship to Miami for Ramsey and then paying Ramsey an additional $26 million. Us fans would have gone insane. The only way Howie Roseman would have actually pulled the trigger for Jalen Ramsey is A, actually needing a cornerback, don't think he thinks that, and B, if the Dolphins would have eaten some of Ramsey's contract. We've talked about that in the past. Dolphins clearly didn't want to, and so, again, the Eagles get completely clear of the aging Ramsey and look really, really smart. Avoiding the lure of a former All-Pro on a big contract is what the good franchises are doing right now. Bad franchises are doing all too often. But that alone is not the end of the Ramsey story. Pittsburgh trading Minkah Fitzpatrick as part of the deal just made the Birds' potential Justin Simmons plans a whole lot easier, which, again, for the 100th time, I don't think they need Justin Simmons because they have a stable of young options battling for that spot, but bear with me. If Philadelphia gets to training camp and says we need Justin Simmons, the asking price for the aging veteran just got a whole lot cheaper. Minkah Fitzpatrick did have a down year in 2024, but he's still considered one of the better safeties and really good team guys in the league. And yet, despite this, both Fitzpatrick and his highest paid safety in the league's salary were just shipped off to Miami for pennies on the dollar. When the top player of the position is devalued, it has a massive top-down effect. Philadelphia was already going to be able to grab Justin Simmons for likely very cheap, but now it could be for pennies on the dollar, giving Howie a safety blanket, no pun intended, in case perhaps the lone question mark on this team ends up becoming a serious problem early in training camp. Which, if you actually took DeVonta Smith at his word a couple of days ago, this should not be a problem at all because Drew Mukuba has been very impressive this offseason.
DeVonta, any rookie that has stood out to you during the OTAs and the mandatory training camp?
The guy from was it Texas, the safety.
Mukuba.
Yeah. I couldn't say his name. So.
Overall, Philadelphia avoiding Ramsey, getting a cheaper deal on Justin Simmons potentially is really, really good news and shows that patience has paid off. Now, this does lead into the question I know some of you Eagles trade rumor-obsessed fans are going to ask, Thomas, what does this mean for edge rusher TJ Watt? He remains on a contract holdout situation where he's hoping to become the highest paid player in his position, all while sitting back and watching that same front office supposedly supposed to pay him that money, give, 30-something-year-old Jalen Ramsey a $26 million a year check. And honestly, I was not even going to address TJ Watt because I don't think Philadelphia is actually interested, but then for some reason, a certain local Philly radio station asked this question on Twitter yesterday, would you trade Nolan Smith and a late round pick for TJ Watt? And yeah, I at least now have to address it.
He thought that Nolan Smith and a late round pick would get you TJ Watt. Look, TJ Watt is awesome. Ike went through the stats the other day. It's crazy. You look at TJ Watt stats and Myles Garrett stats, they're like the same.
I think I would do it.
And I would pay him.
And I would pay him.
Wow.
I would do it.
Is while I like Nolan Smith a lot, I think there is a little bit of a red flag we're ignoring with him. He is a smallish defensive end. That has had injuries in each of his first two seasons.
A little injury prone.
Now, of course, I'm not going to argue that Nolan Smith is better right now than TJ Watt, but he is 6 years younger. For the next 2 seasons, he's going to cost over $35 million a year cheaper than Watt's projected new contract. Plus, just for comparison's sake, TJ Watt's last 6 games in 2024, including the playoffs, he had 2 sacks, with 0 of those sacks happening in 5 of those 6 games. Nolan Smith, on the other hand, his final 6 games, including the playoffs, he had 5 sacks with a sack in every single game, but 2 of those. And again, I love TJ Watt. He'd be great on the Eagles, but for Nolan Smith and for that price, no way. First off, just because I wouldn't trade for TJ Watt doesn't mean Philadelphia hasn't called. Maybe they have. I mean, ESPN's Adam Schefter confirmed earlier this week that multiple teams are mulling whether they can trade for Steelers standout pass rusher TJ Watt, which, as I mentioned earlier, likely means Howie's involved, at least with a phone call because he's Howie. But the reason I don't think Roseman will pull the trigger is A, he does love Nolan Smith, whether that's in the trade market or not. I don't think so, but again, he loves Nolan, along with the fact that TJ Watt will demand at least a 3-year, $117 million a year contract the second he's traded to Philadelphia or anywhere else. For you math wizards out there, that's $39 million a year for a guy who is still elite, yes, but his elite time is definitely running out. And so for those reasons, I am officially out. Although, I must point something out here. Philadelphia, again, they're looking like absolute geniuses right now. A lot of us haven't noticed this, but Philadelphia's become a very patient franchise recently, and it's been paying off in a major way. Howie is picking and choosing his expensive free agent and trade battles, and not going out and gobbling up everybody on the market like Philadelphia, we forget, once did. There was a version of the Eagles in recent years past that would have thrown draft picks and money at the Steelers for TJ Watt, and thrown money and draft picks at the Dolphins for Jalen Ramsey, and paid the price for it in the end. Sure, Howie obviously still makes blockbusters. He's made quite a few the past couple of years, but they're calculated, very carefully thought after, and only at positions of desperate need. There really is an overall patience that's just completely swept the Eagles organization the past couple of years, where they still make big trades. We talked about that. They'll make moves here and there, but they want to focus on building through the draft and having cheap contracts, especially on defense. I mean, this year alone, Philadelphia will probably pay the least amount of money to an entire defense in the entire league versus Pittsburgh, who will maybe make the playoffs, at least come close. They missed the playoffs overall, but they will pay the most money to their defense in the entire league, and it will definitely not pay off. Patience right now is definitely key. It's just another way of saying, Howie Roseman, you're doing the right thing. Keep it up. We all trust you. Now, by the way, just for those watching that hate stupid trade speculations and are typing right now, we're not going to trade for TJ Watt. I know, I agree, but how about I give you this just to make you a little bit more mad? This is a legit real article on motorcyclesports.net, which, yes, I'm also confused why this is here, but I digress. Anyway, how about this headline of Jalen Hurts emerges as a top Eagles trade candidate amid team's strategic roster shakeup, which I'm actually not going to comment on at all, but I thought it was funny, so do with that as you will. The far more interesting piece of Jalen Hurts news on today's show is this video that's been recirculated on Twitter from a few months ago of Jalen Hurts' offseason quarterback guru, John Beck, telling Rich Eisen that Jalen Hurts is even more focused than ever, even after winning a Super Bowl.
Hurts is one of your guys. How do you think he's going to be now that he's got a ring and he's done it and he has completed the mission once? What do you think he looks like having that now as a base of operations for him in Philadelphia?
Well, I can tell you this, because he was just on the field last week. When a guy shows up after winning the Super Bowl and he is focused on little details, I'm talking little details to enhance things by fractions of the second. When you take that approach after reaching the pinnacle, that's that like, and I don't want to like say it too soon or anything like that, but I think when I think of like the Michael Jordans, the Kobe Bryants, of those type guys, that had to be their approach. Like, okay, I got to the summit. I want to do it again, but I'm not going to go as the same player. I'm going to try to do it again as even a better player.
Now, speaking of improving this offseason, I think you're going to love this quote from Jalyx Hunt's personal trainer a few days ago, where he said the guy is still moving the same. I think he's a little bit more powerful. He's definitely stronger in the weight room because he's throwing around weight he hasn't been throwing around last year. Adding later on that the main goal right now is adding weight overall to Hunt's body to make him even more durable and powerful for the 2025 season. And I know if you watch this show regularly, you've heard a lot of praise surrounding Jalyx Hunt. That he looks different, he looks better, but getting bigger and stronger, haven't really heard that much. Heard a lot more about him being more cerebral, learning his pass rush moves, working on technique. But if he's doing all of that and also getting bigger, stronger, faster, more durable, well, as we keep saying every single time you mention Jalyx Hunt on this show, the sky's the limit. Year 2 could be very impressive. Now, finally, for those Super Bowl ring fanatics who've been wondering, when are the Eagles going to have their ring ceremony and get that big piece of hardware for their fingers? Well, it was delayed for a while, but officially now has been set for July 18th at the Eagles facility, which right now is 16 days away from today when I launched this video, and really just a couple of days before the official start of training camp on July 22nd. Now, the actual design for the rings has not been leaked yet. Pretty surprising there. I'm I'm excited to see how it looks overall because you got to remember, this ring's going to have 2 Super Bowl trophies because, in case you forgot, Philadelphia keeps winning the big game. I'm pretty pumped to see what it looks like. What you guys think down below. Now, there's plenty more stuff happening the next couple of days and weeks. Be sure to go ahead and subscribe. Check out the podcast version of this show on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, anywhere you get your podcasts, all linked down below. Thomas Mott hanging out. This has been Thomas Mott Show.